What's going on, everybody? I am not your host, Tommy Styles, but Joe is out today with some moving house. So this is for the love of the game, episode 2. We have IFBB Pro Cade Zook on with us today. Turner-riddlebb back as always. So we're just going to get right going. First things first, like, share, comment, subscribe. Head over to the Muscle Media Network YouTube channel. If you're new here, join the Facebook group, Muscle Media Network. We talk all things bodybuilding there. So I'm going to kick it to Turner. Turner is pretty close with Cade. They're both in Tennessee. So I'm excited for this one. I'm just going to kind of sit back and let it flow. Turner, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think how far back Cade and I go. I think Cade was Mr. Tennessee before I had ever really started paying attention to like the Tennessee bodybuilding culture, maybe right about that time. And then I think we had some common friends that eventually we got linked up. And ever since then, it's just been one of those things where like, man, he's just my brother from another mother. I'll say something and he'll completely understand where I'm coming from. And we'll talk about some of the stupid things that we've done. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot today. At the time, it made all the sense. It didn't make sense, but it made enough sense that we thought that's what we needed to do. And we were hell-bent. That's what we were going to do to make our dream, our fantasy, whatever you wanted to call that, come true. And so, Cade, I'm glad that we could get you on here. I know you got a busy schedule, just like all of us. I think that a lot of people would love to hear some of the things that you've been through, some of the things that cross your mind on a day-to-day basis. And I know you're not as outspoken as a lot of people are, like myself. But with this podcast, I plan to try to pick out some of these things out of you that I've heard you say before, and maybe just some questions that I have for you that I've never got an answer for. And I knew you'd be a good guest to say some really elaborate things. So
yeah, man, I'm happy to do it.
Cool. You turned pro in what year?
2019.
2019 North American.
Should have been 18.
2018?
Should have been 18.
How many years did you do a pro qualifying show to try to get a pro card?
My first one was 2015.
15, 16. Did you do one every year after that?
Yeah, 15, 16, 17. I did two shows. 18 one, 19 one. So I think it was six national shows.
Did you say 16 you did 2 shows?
Yeah, 16, 17 I did 2. 17 I did USA, then North American.
Yeah. I remember that. It's crazy how much has changed in all of our lives and like the sport since being at USA's that year. You know what I mean? Like, think about all the people that we were talking about and were projected to be pros that year. Like, I feel like that year when we did USA's together, or I was just there watching. I feel like that was kind of like the height of our bodybuilding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the pinnacle for us. We were just living in the fucking moment.
Yeah, that was some of the most fun times ever. 15 through 18 was really awesome.
Yeah, it was. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask you my first. I've got about 5 questions right here. I'm gonna save one of them towards the end. So this is called For the Love of the Game, and for those that don't understand what that means is you are so passionate and you love bodybuilding so much that there was really nothing that you weren't willing to risk or willing to do to, see your success go in the direction you wanted it to, right?
Yeah.
What is one thing that ever kept you from getting a meal in? Or give me the scenario when it was mealtime that you were at a job, your boss said you couldn't eat. I know we've talked about like you dropped food on the ground. Give me the one that sticks out most in your head, and try to speak up so we can hear you.
I've got I've got two. One was I used to work for Pepsi, so I had to work a store. I would heat my food up in the microwave, and then I would drive to another store, and then I would just eat on my drive. So about a week or two before this incident, I always, whenever I see a turtle in the road, if I can, I'll stop and grab it and get it out. I love turtles, so I always like, I don't want to get ran over, right? So I'll grab them, and there was a big ass snapping turtle. I mean, huge, and he was just a dickhead, dude. He was trying to bite me, and the cars were coming, so I didn't know what to do. So I put him in my car seat, in my passenger seat, and he just shit all in my car seat. And he was trying to bite me, and then I put him in the floorboard because he was just trying to bite me, and he was pooping and peeing and crawling in my floorboard. And then I eventually got somewhere and put him where he's safe. Like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was eating my meal driving, and then I put it in my seat, and the guy slammed on his brakes, and he had brake checked me, and my meal went into the floor where that turtle had been. And I was like, fuck. But I was like, I got to try to get it. You know what I mean? It was turkey and potatoes with ketchup all over it. I remember the meal. And I like tried my best to salvage it. And there was like hair and like leaves. And I was just like, I was gagging while I was eating it. I didn't get all of it because it was disgusting, but I still tried. And I was just thinking like, I'm going to die from some nasty ass reptile disease. And then yeah. And then the second time was at when I worked at the jail. I dropped a meal on my floor in my office, but the boots I was wearing and everybody else was wearing walks around a dirty ass jail. And I ate it. And I didn't tell nobody about it. I was the only one in the room, but I was really disgusted with myself, but I still ate it. I thought for sure I was going to get like hepatitis.
In what years was that?
The turtle was like 09. And then the jail was 2012. So I wasn't even doing like a national show then. I was just a dumbass.
What was going through your head, like when that happened? What was going through your head of like, is it like a gun to the head, like I have to eat this meal or I'm a failure?
Yeah, I still feel that way now. I'm like, if I don't eat, I get stressed out. And I'm not even doing anything. I'm just so strict with my meals. And yeah, I was just like, if I don't eat this, I'm gonna be small on stage, or someone's gonna beat me, or someone's gonna eat their meal, which is just not true. But that's how my brain, worked back then.
But honestly, man, I think it is true. Like, I mean, those are two instances that you can remember in 10 years, we'll say, but like I still feel that same way today. Yeah. And I'm kind of removed from the sport, kind of like you are, Cade. I'm not removed from bodybuilding, but I'm just like, I haven't competed in a couple of years, and I still get stressed out on if my meal timing gets pushed or whatever it may be. And I still believe there's nothing that's gonna, until I walk away from bodybuilding, I don't think I'll ever not be stressed if I don't get a meal when it's supposed to, or if that makes sense.
I don't know if you've done it for X amount of years, like in the level that I have, and I know you have, and a lot of other guys. I find it more impressive that they can just stop eating their meals and be, oh, I just eat twice a day, or
yeah,
I wish I could maybe let loose a little bit, but I just can't. It's not even about, I don't even know why I do it. I guess it's just in me. But I still have, like if I go to the movies, I still bring a meal with me. I'm a little more free about it now. Like I might let an hour go by and not stress about it. And like if I go to a concert, I'll just eat after the concert. I'll go 4 hours without a meal. But I still have to get that number. If it's 6, it's got to be 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I still got to get it.
No, I agree 100%. Like the people that can, turn it on for a 20-week prep and eat 6 meals, and then they get their rebound or however they look at it, and then they're like, oh man, off season I'm just like 2 meals if I'm lucky. I really can't wrap my head around that. I swear to God I can't. And I know that's so it's really selfish and all those things, but when they say that to me, I'm just like, well, number one, I say a couple of things that stresses me out. But number two, I'm like, yeah, well, it's kind of fucked up because usually those people are the ones that have always beat me. And you get that too. It's like, I get fucked up because that's my only chance of beating those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to give me 6 months out of the year where you're going to eat twice. All right. That's where I cannot miss a meal. That's the way I see it.
I agree. Yeah. And then but then when you get beat by those guys, you're like, damn, do I need to be this strict? But I feel like that's the only path I could have taken.
100%.
I don't know anything else. So it's like, I feel like it's insane when you think about it, but it's like, I don't know if there was another way for me to do it.
We've been to, I don't know how many Arnolds we've been to back to back. This is just kind of like our bro thing, Tommy, where we'll link up in, shows or the Arnold, and we'll get a hotel together. And Cade's always got his meals. Cade never misses a meal. It wakes up, it's 3 boys or 4 boys or 2 boys in the damn hotel room, and like Cade will be sitting in the dark at 6 a.m. eating the meal, and here I am still snoring. And it's like, it's always been like that. And that's one of the things, like, you would like to think people like him and me, that we take it so serious, we'd be so much further in the sport. I don't know why we're not, but like, I always looked at Cade as like, it was a little bit of a competitive, like, he's like a big brother of mine. Anytime we talk bodybuilding, we were talking the things that, like, the fine details of why we did it like this and why it's always been like this. And I always kind of just sat back and was like, like, after a weekend with Cade, and I'm always the type, like, I'm busting his balls. What the fuck are you doing at 6 o'clock eating food in your bed in the dark? Like, that's just me. I'm just talking shit. But like, in my mind, I'm also like, damn, dude, that takes a special someone to do that. And I think that's where, when you say for the love of the game, that right there that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, I point out that, like, there's probably not 3 people that are going to be on a podcast that are bigger Kobe Bryant fans than the 3 of us. So I think when we're talking about doing all these little things, like, that's the Mamba mentality. Like, every little fine detail every single day for months and months and months and years and years and years, is you sort of buy into that as that's the only way that you have to maybe be successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like you said, and where you said just a minute ago, you said that you would think after us doing it so seriously, we would be further along. I've thought that too. But then again, you just, in bodybuilding, it's just like, you only have your ceiling. Like, my ceiling was where it is. I'll never be Mr. Olympia. There's a lot of guys that are competing at the Mr. Olympia that will never be Mr. Olympia. And that's just what you got to come to accept sometimes too. Like, you can still be really awesome as a bodybuilder, but just because you're not a pro or a pro show winning bodybuilder doesn't mean you're not a good bodybuilder. You know what I mean? And we're guys like us are way more dedicated. I mean, like I said, I stayed with Dallas. Dallas, like, he's nowhere near dedicated as we were, but couldn't stand next to him. I mean, and there's tons of guys like that. So, like, you just got to do what you got to do for you and the best you can do. And don't get discouraged when you see someone else succeeding that doesn't work as hard as you, because that's just the way it is.
100%. Yeah, you bring up Dallas, like, man, and this is not a knock on Dallas. I mean, for someone that's got it like that, I think, and don't get me wrong, he worked really fucking hard.
Oh yeah,
I've seen him do some things that I've never seen any other human do. But at the same time, I'm just like, it's like I was just saying about Cade eating food in the bed. Like, I was doing those things around Dallas, and Dallas was like, hell, he might not eat for 2 or 3 more hours. You know what I mean? He didn't give. He ate when he felt like it. You know what I mean? And now he had his meals and he would eat those. But Turner, as soon as Turner woke up, the only thing between him and a meal was taking a piss. But Dallas, he'll wake up and, fucking watch a little TV, text a little bit, and he might not eat for 2 hours, 3 hours before he got up. And I was just like, that stressed me out, but it's just one of those things. Like you said, you have to, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and then you see some guys like do really well off of like staying up till 4 a.m. and sleep until noon. But me, I always thought if I got to do cardio, it's got to be at like 5 a.m. It's got to be before the day starts. And then there was like, to me, cardio at 10 or 11 a.m. is not fasted. It is fasted because you haven't eaten, but like I got to do it when it's dark outside, when there's no one there. And it's nothing about being hardcore. It's just that it's just something about that it has every prep is there's the cardio is at 4 or 5 a.m. It's never 10, 11, 12. It's all, you know what I'm saying? It's always regimented like that. I just think it's easier to control the day when you do it like that. And there's less variables to fuck up, I guess.
I think that what you just said, I think that is where you and I kind of that's our comfort zone, is like if I've got all the variables, and then you and I, we kind of try to like whittle them down to having as few variables as possible. That if I can, if it's just 4 variables, food, training, sleep, cardio, like I've got all those done. Everything else is perfect. You know what I mean? I know you don't, if Cade goes to a concert or Cade stays up past 10 o'clock at night, like some shit is fucking different. You know what I mean? Like that's just, we're not going here. We only do the grocery store on a certain day. It's my day off from the gym.
But if you do it like that, there's less chances for you to make mistakes.
And it's less stress.
Yeah. So like if my car breaks down, that's okay because I'm prepared for that. You know what I mean? Like whenever you hear someone else say, "Oh, I didn't make it to the gym yesterday. My car broke down and then this happened." That doesn't happen to me. It's never has happened to me. I don't let it happen. And
100%.
people, you can be in control of that stuff if you do the same thing every day at the same time. Because if I'm going to Kroger every Tuesday in a straight line, the gym straight to Kroger, straight back home, there's not much fucking up that could really happen between the gym and Kroger and back home. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another one I wanted you to touch on is, I know you don't still train there anymore, and I can't remember the name of the place, but the gym that you did all your fasted cardio at, that you would train at from time to time, what was the name of that place?
C&K.
And that, like, give us the rundown of that gym. Because nowadays, like, I don't think anybody would really train in that gym. It's probably full of COVID, but when you got a Lifetime and a Carbon Culture and a Redcon 1, and then that's where you are going every day to do your cardio. That's where you're starting your day every day to do your fasted cardio. Like, what type of things were going through your head when you're walking into this? And I want Cade to paint the picture, but like my best way of painting the picture is like you're in some hillbilly ass fucking town, but you're really like 15 minutes outside the town, and it's just like this little shack that looks like a dilapidated building, but inside, go from there.
Yeah, so it's this old married couple. The one guy died who was like 80 something. His wife is still alive, and they just have all this land. And she's always kind of been in bodybuilding, like local guys. No one ever really good, but she has all this land. So the house that the 80-year-old dude grew up in, literally that house is still on the land, and that's the gym. It's just that old ass house. And then they built onto the house like this concrete, just garage type building. So literally you walk through this house from like the 30s. It's just wooden, and it's spiders everywhere, bugs everywhere, lizards, just anything you could think of. The floor is caving in. Actually, the floor did cave in. You had to walk over it. They just put like a plywood over it just to let you know not to walk there. Leaks, floods, everything. But whenever I was 18, I left my first gym to go to a different gym. And when the first day I walked in, there was a guy named Kenny, and the guy posted about the guy that got me into bodybuilding. I had already wanted to do bodybuilding, and I saw him actually posing, and he was just like X amount of weeks out from some show. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, whoever this guy, I'm going to be this guy's best friend. I was 18. He was probably like 33 or 34, probably. And they were at this gym with me, and then we became friends. He started helping me, and they said, we're going to leave this gym and have our own gym. And I was like, I'll go with you wherever you go. And turns out that's where it was, it's her property. And they took all the equipment out because it was their equipment. And they go to this shack, and literally this, I mean, it has to be 900 square foot, like the house. And then they built a garage later on, but all this equipment was in a house. And honestly, I didn't think anything of it, man. Like, I thought it was awesome. And it was just me and my friends that were bodybuilders and people who cared. And there was like another gym across town, the gym that I eventually went to go work at, where all the big guys trained at. So in my head, I was like, go ahead.
Sorry. No, you go ahead.
In my head, I was just like, I'm over here like Rocky Balboa in this gym. I'm not as big as these guys are yet, but if I do my thing over here, I will catch up to the, and I did, 2 guys specifically. And I eventually surpassed them, obviously. And but that was my thing. It was like, I'm going to do my thing over here where no one can see me and get really good, and then come out of nowhere. And I want people to be impressed with me. Just like, damn, who is that? Where'd he come from? So I didn't want them to see the come up. I just wanted them to be strictly just surprised. And
Hell yeah.
to me, it was just, I loved it, dude. There was no one ever there. It had everything you freaking needed. Dumbbells up to 150. I mean, a couple hammer strength pieces, the best hack squat I've ever used. And I didn't think anything of it. I loved it. And you bring your friends, even like people who like, what the fuck is this? They walk up to it, but when they walk in, they're like, damn, this gym is awesome. It's kind of like a hybrid between Metroflex and Temple as far as like the inside goes. But yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Like, it's like I've never been there, but in my mind, all the times we've sent pictures and stuff back and forth, it's like a Metroflex, but probably a fraction of the size. I remember everything's white and purple.
Yeah.
And I know that probably the newest piece of equipment in that gym was probably older than I am.
Yeah, the newest piece of equipment is probably still at least 25 years old or more.
Oh man. And I remember like you would send me like pictures of spiders and shit all in there.
Yeah.
I just think that's great. Like, that was, that's the thing. Like, that was when bodybuilding was so fucking pure. You know what I mean? You didn't have all these, like, there was no influencers. I mean, I guess you call like Ronnie Coleman an influencer or whatever back then, but like, it was just a man on a mission. You know what I mean? The bar was fucking cold every day when you go in. It was either hot or
and that's the thing. There's no freaking heat in there, so it's freezing cold. Literally, you'd have steam coming off your head if you're sweating and it's cold in there. Steam's coming off your head. And like, there's a video on my Instagram where I'm like doing lunges in the parking lot, and there's like a dead cat right there on the side of the gravel that I'm lunging in. Just that got hit by a car. And there's like cows right there right across the street, just shitting everywhere, stinking up the place. But I loved it, man. I miss it.
What'd they do with it?
Honestly, I took my kid to the park that's near there, and I had to pee so bad. And I'm like, I'm going to stop by the old gym and go in there and use the bathroom. I typed my code in, it still worked, but the door wouldn't budge. It was almost like it was like locked from the inside. I mean, I freaking put my shoulder into it and everything. So I don't know. I don't think it's even open anymore.
You brought up Dorian.
Yeah.
What about all that did you wanting to name your son Dorian kind of like put me in the mindset that you were in when you're like, fuck, I'm fixing to have a kid. I'm as good as a bodybuilder as I've ever been at this point. And like, there's a lot of like pressure as far as like what you're going to name your kid, how you're going to be a parent and all those things. Like, talk to me about just that decision to name your son Dorian.
I was having a hard time figuring out what to name him. And just before he was born, Dorian had just released his book that he only made like 1,000 copies of. And I had bought one, and I had just read it like probably within a week of the hospital, still hadn't had a name yet. And I was like, I really like the name Dorian, but I don't want everyone to think I'm just some dumbass meathead who named my kid after a bodybuilder. So he is named Dorian because of Dorian Yates, but not because he's my favorite bodybuilder. Does that make sense? Like,
He is your
obviously the
favorite
name,
bodybuilder though, right?
yeah, but like, but I named him after Dorian because that was fresh in my brain. But he's not named after him because I'm so inspired by his,
Gotcha.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So there's no real crazy story behind it, but he is named after Dorian as far as like the influence. You know what I mean?
Well, tell me what influence Dorian had on you.
Uh, Training in a gym that's shitty with no one there, no, not needing any attention or validation from anyone. Uh, Getting hurt and training through it. Same with Kobe, getting hurt and not, maybe it's not the smartest thing to do because when you get older, like now I'm kind of paying for it, but it's just something that's in you. And like stuff like that, just like him just being so, like I remember in his book, he talks about he was getting his house remodeled. And he's like, I'm not sitting in this fucking house while it's remodeled. I'm going to go. He left his wife and his kids in his house and he went and got a hotel. And because he wanted to eat his meals, he wanted to get his sleep. But just like that, you know what I mean? Like he was so psycho about everything that he did. It just kind of resonated with me because like that's kind of how I was. Like everything you could possibly think of, he has taken it to that extreme with like the level of dedication. It can't be, I don't think Dorian's dedication can be matched. Like you can, all these guys now that are whatever, it can't be matched. I don't think it can. You know what I mean? I think it's like, it's just he was once in a lifetime kind of guy. Same with Kobe. Kobe can't be matched for the rest of his life, for the rest of the NBA. Every great player that comes, there's no one that's gonna to match his way of thinking or his work ethic.
Yeah, I think the best part of those guys is like that shit was pure. They weren't putting on for a camera.
Yes.
That like that like not I wouldn't say that was the height of bodybuilding or the NBA or anything like that, but like they did I mean, at the time, you didn't have these vlogs and you didn't have, like I said, other people out there that were putting out information on how to be the best. Like they're blazing their own trail. Like I said, it's pure. The fucking gyms were, in my opinion, that was the height of probably the gym. Maybe not, maybe 10, 15 years later, but that span, like that's when weights were fucking clanging when you were in the, like when you remember when you walked into that gym or a gym in 2010, 11, 9, whatever, like you heard steel weights clanging back and forth. Nowadays it's plastic weights and you can't really drop them in the floor. But that's one of the things that stands out to me is like when that shit was pure and when 315 was 315 and there was a lot of motherfuckers in the gym that were slinging it around. You know what I mean? You didn't really give a fuck about their form, but like you knew he was 260 pounds and he was making 315 look easy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and even now, like if someone's benching 315, it's like a spectacle at the gym.
Oh yeah.
Like people stop and stare, as opposed to back in the day, I would just keep walking because I'm like, I can do that. Like that ain't impressive to me. The work ethic is impressive, but like now, if someone does 315, it's like 5 plates, 6 plates because no one trains that way anymore. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
100%. And that's the
The
thing.
guys that do, but like the general population of just hard gym goers like that train don't do that stuff anymore.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's kind of like what you're kind of exactly what you're saying. I think when Dorian walked in the gym back then, number one, he owned the gym. And number two, he was, a world champion title holder. So when he walked into the gym, people recognized that. But I also believe that, we only got to see Dorian in the gym because he made it happen. Like he had the camera crew and they filmed blood and guts. But I also believe that every time you have a person like that, like for instance, Ronnie Coleman, I don't believe that there's probably another Ronnie Coleman out there, but I do believe that there's someone that was on his heels that never fucking made it. You know what I mean? That we don't even know about. And I feel the same way about Dorian. I feel the same way about all these guys that were at their peak at one time. they were just doing what they loved. They worked a normal job. They couldn't afford, like a camera crew and all that to put it out there. So, but all right, so I'll take you to my next question. All right. So this is kind of a two-part. What was the hardest thing you had to wrap your head around doing to achieve your goal? And so, I mean, that's the question, but in other words, what was the most extreme thing in your opinion that you did to be where you were? Like, what was the one thing that you were just like, fuck, man, I guess this is what I got to do.
I don't know if if it was any one thing, if it was just a combination of everything, and you're like, damn, I'm taking this many shots a day. Damn, I'm doing I was telling someone the other day, like, you could agree with this or resonate with this, but like there was sometimes that you might take, like, when you have everything added up, like 10 to 12 shots a day. And I don't mean steroids, I just mean injectable carnitine, insulin, growth hormone, painless pumps, uh, 2 or 3 different tests. You know what I mean? If you're taking
Hell yeah.
GH 3 times, if you're taking GH 3 times a day, that's 3 shots. Taking insulin pre and post workout, that's 5 shots. Carnitine, that's 2 more, that's 7. You got 3 cc's that only fits in the syringe. You got to do another one. That's 2, that's 9. And I was shooting my triceps up because they were small. And there's another freaking 10, 11 shots right there. So it's like things like that, along with like, sometimes you go in the gym, you're like doing some dumbass shit, like on the hack squat or even the squat or deadlift. And you're like, man, why am I doing this? You know why you're doing it. You don't question it, but you're just like now looking back on it, I'm like, damn, there's no way I could do that right now. But like back then, it didn't even cross my mind. Well, I'm more amazed now looking back how I did it. Why I know why I did it, but like I'm like, damn, I was a dumbass. But no, I don't know. I never really you never really think about it. Like you're not really thinking about consequences back then.
I want to tell this story just because I don't think I've ever told anybody this story. And this is just how fucked up I am or was or any of that. But I was prepping for the 2014 Kentucky Muscle. And I'm not trying to like take the shine off Cade, but what he said kind of resonates. And I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck, but Tommy, you remember we talked last time where I was telling you about that job that I thought I was going to get fired from, so forth and so on. Well, I got fired because of all the reasons. And so like I'm going through that period where I didn't really know what I was going to do. I had an education that I could go do what I was doing, but like I hated that shit. I didn't want to do that. And so I'm like at my house, thinking about, there's just a lot going on in your mind at that time. You've been fired from a job. You're trying to be the best bodybuilder you know how. You're trying to blaze a trail. You're trying to be something. Ultimately, that's what we're all here trying to do, is trying to be somebody. And like I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck, but when you don't have a job and you're spending a lot of money on all these things, like, money goes out, but the shit ain't coming in as quick. And so I was like 6 weeks out and I ran out of growth hormone. I mean, and like, this was like some generic bullshit that I got from a buddy. I don't know how good it was. I didn't even know what fucking GH did at the time. I just knew I was out. And I was like, fuck, 6 weeks out. This is the biggest I've ever been, the best I've ever looked. This is the biggest show I was ever going to do or had ever done. And I can remember pulling up my shots or my shot or whatever for the day. And I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just do more trim. And so like, I think I took like 3 cc's of trim a couple times a week that week. I just remember like I had my test, you typical test, master on, trend, and probably 1 cc of all 3 of those. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull up a syringe of trend too, because that's going to counteract my lack there of growth hormone.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was just Turner, man. Like, I was just fucking wild and reckless, and
But I did that
on a mission, huh?
That's bodybuilder logic right there.
Man, it didn't make no fucking sense. Still doesn't.
dude. I mean,
And I don't know what, I won that show. So like now you look back and you're like, well, what the fuck? But that was just one of those, damn, you're fucking stupid. I'm just like, I'm hard headed, dude. I gotta fucking beat my head up against the wall. I feel like Cade's always been maybe not as hard headed as I was, but I can remember, and Cade's had torn muscles. I think you're injured right now, right, Cade?
yeah, I don't have an ACL anymore. But I still squatted today though.
1 foot in front of the other. I can remember this was like probably 2016, and I told you guys that like I trained 7 days a week up until about 2018. And Cade and other people had been harping on me like, dude, take a day off, take 1 day off. And I'm like, nah, fuck that shit, y'all. I mean, I would just listen to them, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna let them motherfuckers take off. I'm gonna keep getting mine. And now looking back, I do wish I would have. Hell, in 2017, if I would have started taking a day off, I'm not saying I'd be a lot further along, but I think that like I have a little bit more meat left on the tires, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I was like you, six days. I always had 1 day off, but I was like, I'm gonna try something different to get really big. So I tried the type of Dorian type split in the off season, which was 4 days a week. I did chest, thighs, shoulders, tries, legs, and then I did I think I did 2 leg days, a ham day and a quad day. So I had 4 days a week. And I got really big and strong off of it. But I purposely made myself lift heavier because I knew I was off tomorrow. But then I was off tomorrow. I couldn't wait to train tomorrow. So I was like, it gave me excitement I couldn't wait to go to the gym. And it gave me a day off. So I always felt so good. So like, but before that, you had to really, it took some, I guess it just older and wiser I got maybe near the end. But I didn't start doing that until like 18, late 17, 18 maybe. So I mean, yeah, I wish I would have done that shit sooner too.
This is the last question that I have for you. I guess we'd probably end it on a high note. What is the best memory you have from bodybuilding? Like, you've won shows, you've won a pro card, you're, even pros that are on the pro stage know who you are. You've got to, even though you don't promote yourself like I think you should, you still have a pretty big fan base per se. Like I can remember when you turned pro, there were so many people that were happy. It's almost like Nate Spear, like not the best bodybuilder, but pretty much everyone knew how hard you worked to get there. And so I'm just kind of hyping you up, but like, I know how your mind works, that turning pro is probably not the highlight to your bodybuilding career, but it could be. So I want you to, and I mean, like, what is the one moment that you sit back and that you can go to and just say, man, like that day, I wish I could just relive that one day or that one thing.
I wish I could have enjoyed moments more. Like, so when you're so focused in something, like whenever I won the state show, like that, the state show to me was my Mr. Olympia. Like that was all I cared about. I could tell you the winners before me. Like there's people I would like, oh, he's Mr. Tennessee. Like I want to be like, I knew like Matt Davis like was a super heavyweight, and like I was like, man, I want to be super heavyweight Mr. Tennessee and stuff like that. And it was just a big deal to me. And as soon as I won, everyone, probably that moment was my favorite because it was such a big deal. But I also didn't enjoy it as much as I probably should have, because
It was on to the
like,
next.
everyone was like, do North Americans in 4 weeks or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it next year. but I was with Matt Jansen, and he's like, we got to get a game plan for next year North American. So it's like that day, at the restaurant, everyone's so happy for me. Passing my ring around the table, everybody's wearing it, and all my friends are there and they're happy. And I'm in my head, I'm like, North Americans next year, fucking eat this steak and potatoes or whatever. And I wish I could have enjoyed it more. Same thing with turning pro. I mean, you were there. I don't know if you remember, but we couldn't really find a restaurant to go to, and we ended up going to some burger place that was a really tight seating arrangement. It was like we was all kind of crammed. And I remember being there and thinking, I'm the one who won, and everyone's having a better time than I am. And I was just thinking, like, what pro show is next, which I never ended up doing. But so I wish I could have enjoyed it a little more rather than be so focused on the next goal that I have to. I honestly probably have a little bit of regret for not enjoying it more. Like being so focused on the training and the diet, and I got to be dedicated. I got to get like after a show, I'm like, rebound, rebound, rebound. What supplements are we going to take, Matt? What are we going to do? Boo, whoever I'm with, like, let's get this rebound going. I want to be 325. But like the most fun I had and the most things I do miss the most is just like you said, like going to shows, but all your friends are there, and like going to the gym. Like whenever you're freaking healed, man, and you're 3 days out, and you go to the gym with your boys, and you're in a different city. You're in Vegas, you're in Pittsburgh, you're in Miami, whatever, and you go to the gym to get that workout before nationals, and you take your shirt off, and you got tank top on, and you're just peeled and dry, and you see a couple of competitors that in the gym, they're looking at you, at the corner of their eye, and you look good, and you're over there doing some curls or some press downs or something. You got a nice pump. I miss those moments, like things like that. Like those are my favorite. I remember Ron Gordon staring at me in the gym, and I know he was scared because he said it later. But I remember like, all right, Ron, I remember you, and he ended up beating me, and but I remember him looking at me, and that to me that was like respect. That was like all my work is being acknowledged. Like even if you don't win, like all the people in the crowd that you don't even know who they are, they come up to you and they say, "Damn, Turner, you look so fucking good, man." And you're like, thanks. I know I got fourth or I didn't win or whatever. But like the level of respect that you get after a show is pretty cool too. And like people you don't even know, you get DMs, you're getting all these followers, and people they're like, why do they like me? I don't even like myself. But these people just like, it's just a good feeling, like to be, I guess, in your mind, the validation of like all my work paying off in some way, even though I didn't maybe win, or even if I did win. But I miss things like that. Like I miss walking into weigh-ins and everyone looking at you, like waiting for you to unzip. And then they act like they ain't looking, and you turn over, you catch them, they're just like, stuff like that.
I remember being in the car, me, you, and Devin. I think we were headed to check-ins or weigh-ins, or we had just picked you up from check-ins, and you were like, we're talking shit, just fucking us. It's just three boys just talking mad shit, and you were like, yeah, I'm in the low 270s, so coming in at the bottom end of the weight class today. And we just thought that was fucking hilarious because, I mean,
barely
most of those
made
guys in the supers are like 245, you might get somebody in the 260s, and you'd weighed in at like 276. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and just that was fun, man. I miss those moments. Like I miss bodybuilding and all the. I don't really miss competing that much. Like being on stage. I didn't like it. I didn't like routines. I hated it. Hated being the only one on stage. This shit made me feel weird. I hated posing to a damn song. But I liked being up there in the pre-judging against competition, competing. Like I only did bodybuilding to compete and to win. I didn't do it to be the buff guy in my city, to go to Walmart and push my buggy around with jacked ass arms. I didn't do it for that. I only did it to win because I was competitive. And that's probably why I never have been bigger on social media with bodybuilding, because I didn't do it for any other reason other than just to compete. Like I miss the compete. I miss competing.
Well, I think it's like you said, I think it's that, it's like they say about Kobe, like it's the process that we enjoy so much. And then obviously the competing is part of the process, but the accolades are just like what happens from doing the process right. And so, yes, it feels amazing when people are cheering for you, yelling for you, coming up, bro, you look great and stuff like that. But it's like I can remember being in the hotel rooms and you'd be like, come in here. And like, we'd have to go back off in this fucking little ass closet with the perfect light. You'd be like, dude, what about this? And I was just like, come out here and let's just fucking pose. And you're like, no, we gotta pose right here in front of this fucking light, in front of this fucking mirror. And it's like, those were the times where, I don't know, man, something about like you seeing all that fucking hard work that you put in, and that, like, I don't know. It's crazy. But I agree. Like, getting up on stage was never, it was always weird for me getting on stage. Yeah, I like to be out there and I like to win and people see that and fucking feel that. But that was never the biggest, that was never the pinnacle for me. Like, even giving me trophies and shit like that, I almost felt bad because I was like, I feel like I'm going to make enemies out of this. You know what I'm saying? When you beat people, like, I'll tell you, when I get beat, it's not that they become an enemy of mine, but they become the poster on my wall that I'm beating that motherfucker next time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I used to keep a picture of this dude in my wallet that was a local guy that was like, everyone talked about him. And I'm like, if I met someone, they'd be like, oh, you're pretty big. Do you know so and so? And I'm like,
That was him.
yes, I do. Thank you. Like, it was never about me. It was always about him. So I'm like, I'm going to beat this motherfucker one day. Never got my chance, but I definitely surpassed him. But he eventually just quit competing. But like, I kept it was a newspaper. It was because he had won Teenage Tennessee or whatever. And it was in the paper. And I cut that shit out, put it in my wallet. And I was just like, I'm going to beat this fucker one day. And eventually I have people like that I used to like look up to asking me for advice and asking me if I could give them a diet or what they should do in the gym. It's just like, that's full circle kind of how it goes sometimes with bodybuilding. But yeah, like, I wish I could have enjoyed wins more. And I think when you train so hard and you do everything perfect and everything right, I expected to win at least a local show. Like, if I'm going to do the Knoxville, I'm not gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm not gonna be so shocked and hold my hands up and cry because
Right.
I knew I was gonna win. I did a show, a qualifier one time, and I told my mom and dad not even to come because they had just done USA with me in Pittsburgh, and I needed to qualify for next year. They're like, all right, well, we'll check our money because they just traveled. I was like, don't even worry about it. I was like, it's going to be a waste of your time. And I don't know who's going, but I know I'm going to win.
Right.
And I had that mentality, like, you don't think that way at a national show because it's a little different ballgame. But I expected to be in the first call out. I
Oh, yeah.
expected it because I trained for it and I did everything right. And I know I'm very hard on myself, and I know you are too. And if I think I look good, then I know the judges will. And
Right.
I didn't think I looked good very often, but when I did, I'm like, I was usually right. I was usually top 5. So I was like, I
Yeah.
know I'll be in the mix. There's no doubt. And then when I turned pro, I knew I would turn pro. At
All right.
that show, I knew I would win.
Only other like good feeling that I know is like, it's like super joyful is when you're standing up there and you've been put in this position before. But like North Americans first call out, or I'm sorry, North Americans, you've all done your, the hour long of like, you do your 40, 30 seconds, the next guy, y'all do your quarter turns. Now the stage is packed and you've got, however many, 15, 30 guys up there. and you're waiting on them to call the numbers of the first call out. You've been in a position where your number didn't get called in that first call out, and then you've been in a position where your number did get called. Like, define the two. Like, define training like you train and not hearing your number called out, and then what it feels like when you do get your number called out.
So the thing about not getting your number called out, when there's a lot of guys that have done multiple shows and consistently not been called out, to me, I'm like, why do you keep coming back? Because I've done it 2 shows back to back. I did USA, I got 8th place, so I didn't make first call out, and then I did North Americans 4 or 5 weeks later, and I got 8th place again, and I did not get called out. That has to be the worst feeling you could possibly feel. When you know I'm not no second call out guy. Like, I'm not a scrub. Maybe I'm flat, maybe I'm, didn't peak right or whatever, but I'm not a second call out guy. That's a shitty feeling. But when you do get called out, that's one of the greatest feelings in the world, because you're amongst 20 to 30 guys to know that you sat in some little town and did the same thing everyone else has been doing, and you came out on top, is a pretty gratifying feeling that you can't really, like, if you're on a team and you guys win the championship, you all help, but this is just me. So, like, yeah, you have people that help you cook your meals or training partners or whatever, but you're the one doing everything. So when you get that call out, man, it's a very satisfying feeling that you can't replicate in any other sport probably, but the not getting called out, man, is a very depressing. You think about the money, the travel, you think about your family. I just made my family drive 6.5 hours to see me look like shit. That's the shittiest feeling ever, man. And there's some guys that do it every year, and I'm like, are y'all not learning? Like, obviously some people eventually make it out, but like, I remember doing North Americans and seeing the same few guys, 3 or 4 times in a row, second, third, fourth call out every year with these guys. None of them are still pros to this day, but I'm like, are you not catching on that the same for you? You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
To me, it's the worst feeling in the world.
I've been standing up there and not get called in second call out, and that fucking sucks even worse. And that's when you're at fucking nationals and you've got, this class is fucking 30 deep, and you didn't get called in the first 6 or 7 or 8. Then you didn't get called on the second 6 or 7 or 8, and you're just like, God damn, can I just fucking vanish? You know what I'm saying? And like, your friends and family are there. In my mind, I'm just like, God damn, I'm ready to fucking train. Like, number one, I'm thinking about that conversation that I'm fixing to have with all the people that are waiting to come greet me when I get out from backstage. And that's where I'm just like, is there a back door? I can just go straight to the fucking gym. I'll just train with the tan on. I don't give a fuck. I don't know nobody in this town. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. I've never been like super depressed or like want to kill myself or anything, but like, you're standing there and you're fucking, when first call out is fixing to get called, you're up there big. You know what I'm saying? Second call out, your fucking arms come down a little bit. And then third call out, you're just like, God damn, just fucking call my number so I can get this shit over with.
You got your hands on your hips by that point.
Exactly. The air has been sucked out of you.
Yeah, but like,
go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say it's like whenever your team gets beaten, the coach throws you in with like 30 seconds to go. Like, your mom and dad came to the game and you didn't play at all, and they're like, "Oh, there's our son. He's playing because they got the shit beat out of him." Like, that's like the same type of feeling. Like, all your girlfriend or your homies are in the crowd and you come in with 30 seconds to go. Like, God damn, I suck. Like,
but I do
like
think
that.
Going back to what you said about getting your number called and that first call out, like, I'll get chill bumps. You've said a couple things that I've got chill bumps from, and that's just how you fucking love it. But when you've trained, we're all in modern day where we all kind of keep up with the top guys, and then the judges are talking and you're just standing there, and then First guy gets called, he runs out there and stands in the middle. Second guy gets called, he runs out there, and then your number gets called, and you're amongst all those guys that are the best at that show in your weight class. You've been keeping up with them. These are the fucking judges that that are at every show. You got all the at those big shows, like all these people here. I mean, a lot of the guys like love fucking bodybuilding at those shows, at the nationals, at the USA's, and the North Americans. I feel like those are true fans. Yeah, you got your family, but like, I'm on the second row and Cade's up there like fucking screaming, do this, do this, do this. And I feel like that's like that shit just is like it's clicking, but you're going off instinct and adrenaline. And I feel like that's one of the greatest moments.
Or coming off of a good prejudging, a first call out, and then reuniting with your friends and family, or even like a judge, but he walked by you and be like, "Hey, don't drink anything."
Yeah,
like absolutely. One of the judges you're friends with, I ain't gonna say nobody's name, but they're like, "Hey, don't drink anything." You're like, "Oh shit." That's,
yeah.
All right. And then your boys are like, "Damn, dude, whatever." And you go back to the room, you eat some food, and then it's just posing. Your mindset is completely like, it goes from being super kind of not really stressed out. Yeah. But then now you're like, all right, I'm in this shit. And you know who's going to win or who's going to get second, but you're like, there's still a chance I could do this. And your day is just a great day all the way up. Compared to coming off second, third call out, then it's the shittiest day ever. And you got to go back tonight, because if you don't, you look like a dickhead. If you don't walk on, and you come walk on stage and do your little one bullshit ass pose, you come in, you get your double bicep, and you walk right off because you didn't make top 5. You don't even get to pose. That's the worst, is you don't even get to pose.
I'll tell you another really, really good memory that I enjoyed the most. And this is kind of like, it's a little high, and it kind of goes back to what you said. And I'm going to wrap this up, but I feel like nowadays it's just pro card. Like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? What do I got to do? And yes, we thought that, but like, we still knew that there was this long off season where we were going to try to get better. And that's what I try to tell my people, and just other people that I see a lot of potential. And it's like, they'll win a state show, for instance, whatever. And they're like chomping at the bit. Do I go compete at this next level? I'm still in shape, and I'm whatever. And I'm like, dude, this sport is going to be here. Take that time where you're the best in your gym. You're at the best you've ever looked. Your mindset is at a pinnacle. It's never been where it's at right now. And take that through a long off season, because you will make the most progress at that. I mean, you should. It doesn't always happen, but when you're going to the gym every day and you're motivated, and I feel like the food goes down better when you're motivated. I feel like the cardio is a little easier when you're motivated. I feel like the weights are a little lighter some days when you're motivated. And but say you win that state show, you jump into the next national show, and then you get fucking crushed. Not saying it doesn't always play out like that, and I shouldn't say crushed, but like you don't go win. That rarely happens. All that hype is then kind of like, it just fades. You know what I mean? Then you're back to like where you were before you did the state show. That's how I feel. And I tell people, I'm like, man, you need to enjoy that. And so that's what I was going to say about another one of the best memories was like that first day back at your home gym, once you like won an overall, or you've done really good at a national level. And at your home gym, everyone knows that you're getting ready for a show. They don't know nothing about bodybuilding, but they know you're peeled. They know that you've been working. They've been seeing you every day at the same time that you guys go, and they've been seeing the work that you put in, and how your body's transitioned. And now you're probably training in stringers a little more and stuff like that. And they come and talk to you, so they kind of live through you a little bit. I feel like that next week going back into the gym, it's kind of like everybody's wanting to congratulate you. Everybody's like, well, what's next? You're going to be a pro, dude. I just know it. I really enjoyed that period too, because it kind of goes back to what you said earlier, where it was like that one guy that people would always say, hey, do you know so-and-so? I always told myself, eventually I'm gonna make it a point to I'm that guy that people are like in my
Right.
hometown or in my home gym where they're like, man, do you know Turner Riddle? You look like you train. Do you know Turner Riddle? And I just like all those things are some of the things that always really motivated me. Not motivated me, but just like those were like little pats along the way that I knew I was doing something fucking right.
No, yeah, like, yeah, that was the same thing. Like now I am that guy. I'm the guy
Yeah.
that they ask other people, which is fine. Uh, so, that's cool. But like you said, like there's nothing probably more cool than like coming to your home gym after winning a show. Like you're the
Yeah.
man. And half the people that go to your gym don't know shit about bodybuilding.
Right.
So you'll tell them you won something, and they're like, okay, well, like you'll have a guy who wins first place at Mr. Tennessee or first place at the Tennessee State Show in the novice. Some people are so uneducated, they're like, he's Mr. Tennessee. I'm like, no, dude, he won fucking novice. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And shit like that. So, you know, it's I miss that too. I miss that. That was a good feeling. Things like
I
that.
always
But
I always told myself that like the worst feeling was because the people in your gym, I feel like they're some of your biggest fans. They don't know nothing, but they see you every day and they get to see the work that goes in more so than most anyone that you post on social media because they see you. And so they kind of have like a little bit of like I know this guy. But like I always thought to myself the hardest part is going to be going back into my gym. And this is what I've always said, like you either won or you didn't. And they don't care if you got eighth or second. But if you told them you won, it was all fucking good. But if you told them you got second, like that conversation when they say, well, man, how'd you fucking do? And you're like, man, I got fucking sixth. And they're like, it's just like a big sigh. It's like, wow. Well, then they try to hit you with something that's not uncomfortable. Like they try to like hype you up. Oh, well, man, fucking, I know you're going to train and get them next year, but I just like that conversation right there was like, I just could not have that conversation. So I did everything in my power to not have to have that conversation. I wanted to walk in and say, I wasn't walking in and boasting and bragging and bringing my trophies into the gym, but I knew that there were going to be people that were going to come up to me and say, hey, man, how'd the show go? How'd the show go? And I just wanted to be like, man, yeah, I won. And they're like,
yeah,
you did? And, they don't even know the difference in a class and then the overall, but like, I had it all. I had the fucking hat trick, man. I got this, and the overall. And like, you can't leave them to say anything but damn. I always wanted that to be I didn't want to have to say I got second. I damn sure didn't want to say I got fucking third call out. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and you damn sure don't want to come home and say you got first, and then you was the only one in your class.
Right. I hear people say that a lot, or I got second. Oh, well, second's not so bad. Well, it is when there's only fucking two in your class.
But
But it's like
they leave that
they
part. They
don't
leave
know.
that part out though.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying the worst part in my head was like, it's like that. You tell them, man, I got third. And then it's like a sigh. And then it's like, then they immediately realize like that struck a nerve. And so they got to say something to like pep you back up. It's like, oh man, well, shit, dude. I mean, I know you're going to do that show next year until you win it, right? And it's just like, yeah, man, that's the plan. Like that's how I knew that shit was going to play out. And I just couldn't. I don't think I could live with myself having that conversation with people, and I had to. But that's just that's all I'm getting at. That's
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
How long are we at, Tommy?
We just about an hour, so we'll probably go ahead and wrap it up. Cade, you can go ahead and plug yourself. I know you coach, so go ahead and how can people find you if they want to reach out to you for coaching?
Just my Instagram. There's a email on there on the bio, and that's about it.
Cade,
Yo,
look, we live in fucking 2023. You gotta start posting pictures. You gotta start fucking, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Like, you think me having a fucking YouTube channel is comfortable to me? It like when I go back and I play these videos, I'm like, God damn, like people are gonna fucking
You
laugh
can't
at
watch
me.
you can't watch them back, dude. It's bad.
I have to, but I have to. I have to.
I
It
hear
doesn't
you.
matter.
Yeah, you got to edit and stuff, but whenever I hear myself talk or I catch little mannerisms I do, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, well, I'm just always worried that like I'm gonna run into somebody and they're gonna be like, dude, you remember when you said this and this on that show? Like, what did you mean by that? And then I don't want to be the guy that's like, I don't remember. So like I do. I always, but you're right. I've heard many people say, like, once you say it, just fucking roll with it. And that's how I am. But I always just feel like I'm going to get called on that conversation where I said whatever I said. And I think that that's just part of like wanting to be good is maybe not making those mistakes. But hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, all this is just fucking knowledge that if you don't pass on, I mean, the only people that are really going to get it are going to be your clients. And today I really only feel like our clients listen to us about 60-70% of the time anyway, because they've got all this other knowledge out there. But like, I mean, there's so much money to be made as a coach. And I know you're not driven by money and you're not driven by like fame or likes and follows, but I still think that like at the end of the day, all the things that you have to offer someone, there's people out there that would want to hear it. And I do feel like it's a good feeling when people ask you a question. Like when I'm coming today with all these questions that maybe I've wanted to ask you over the years, it's got to kind of feel good that like somebody was interested in me enough, because you're very humble about yourself and you're like, yeah, I'm just Cade Zook, man. I'm just a bodybuilder, blah, blah, blah. But like when someone has thought out questions for you that make you get to think back about your best years of your life, and then you get to tell that story, I just feel like that's a good feeling.
No, it is. It is cool because I feel kind of irrelevant now, but I don't know. I've been told that before. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to post. I'm not a big buff guy anymore, so like I'm not lifting anything impressive. I'm just trying to stay in really good shape. But yeah, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But I
There's a
know I
market.
agree with you.
And that's the thing. Like you get to a point where you're like, I don't even know where to fucking start. But like I still think that there's a market. And that's what's so crazy is like we're all most of us are trying to chase that genre of people that only want to excel at the highest level in the sport that we're in. But that's such a small fucking number of people. But if you just, I mean, you're a positive, you're not the most positive, but like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like positivity doesn't just flow out of you
Yeah.
all day long.
Right.
But like, you know, you're still a walking billboard. You know what I mean? Like that shit takes hard work. You're still going to get people that are going to be, they're going to give you questions. And I always say, like, once you've got people asking you questions, there's the value. Like, once you learn to monetize that, give them a little bit to where they're like, oh man, he sparked my interest. I'm going to go back and ask this guy another question because he's got it figured out. That's when you're like, hey, buddy, I do this for a living, or whatever you say. But I just think that like there's so much opportunity out there. Even if you never wanted to coach another bodybuilder again, hell, coach fucking dudes that want to look like Liver King for the rest of your life. And the thing is, most of those dudes got fucking money. Bodybuilders are fucking broke. They want to fucking pay for the drugs, get the coaching free,
And
talk
not,
to
yeah,
their
not pay
buddies.
you.
Huh?
Yeah, how many bodybuilders do you have that don't fucking pay you?
I've got,
Or
I've
like,
got
can I get you in a couple of weeks, man? I got whatever, like
Hey
a
man,
fish
I'll
health.
plug you. I'll plug you real hard on my social media if you'll take care of me. It's like, motherfucker, I don't need you to plug me on social media.
Yeah, I'm me, bitch. I don't need you.
Well, yeah, something like that. But anyways, I'm glad we got to do this. Those are some of the questions that I've had that I wanted to ask you, and I at least wanted to get you to elaborate on those because I know you have your own story that people could hear.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun to me. I haven't done it in a long time, but I haven't talked about bodybuilding in a long time because I don't have no one to talk about it with here. I mean, not in my town at least. My friends like you guys on my text or Instagram, we might talk a little bit, but I have
Yeah.
not talked bodybuilding in a while because there's no one knowledge wise on my level that I could talk about it with. They don't even know who I can say, "Did you see that? Like, what's that?" Like, they don't even know what shows are going on. So, you know, something I haven't talked about in a long time. It is.
You got an open invite on this show if you want. I
No,
definitely.
yeah. Anytime you ever want me on and you need a guest or something, if I could do it, I'll do it.
We're gonna be doing some show reviews on the other segment. So I know you still keep up with it. If you want to review like the amateur shows for sure. And then I want to get you back on to talk about how to get big. Not too many people want to do that anymore, but I mean you're a poster boy for that. I've got some posts bookmarked of yours from like 2018 or 2017 that, because I mean you were very influential for me coming up from like middleweight, light heavy, and now to be a super this year. So I'm with Turner. You have a lot more knowledge to put out than you realize, just because there's always people watching from afar. And even if only, 10 people are watching, that's 10 people that are then going to talk about you to others. Like anytime I talk bodybuilding, and if I find someone that's from Tennessee, I ask them like, I mentioned you two. I'm like, well, make sure you're following these two dudes. They're like, they run Tennessee bodybuilding. So, we talk about that kind of that respect you were talking about. That's what passion and having love for the game and dedication over time, it just earns you that respect to where whether you're the Olympian or not, like you're still, your passion for bodybuilding, it flows off you. So you got an open invite anytime you want to come back on.
We did run Tennessee bodybuilding. Now we're still just those outside dogs.
Yeah. But if we wanted to do it, we still could.
Oh, for sure.
So
for sure.
Well, that's the second episode of For the Love of the Game. Hit us on YouTube, drop comments for Cade. If you want to see him back on, hit him in the comments. That's a wrap. We are out.